My Circle 11's bowl first, where we're going to have a look back at Rajasthan v Punjab for the fourth game of this tournament. And let us start with the end. Not because it was exciting, because that's not the kind of show this is. You haven't come here so I go, oh, was that fun? It came down to the last ball. No, you want to know why Sanju SAMSON didn't take that run with Chris Morris, why he decided to take it on. So let us go through it. Let us unpack the Sanju SAMSON decision just a little bit. I know that Rajasthan paid $28 million, give or take, for Chris Morris, and part of that was because he hits the ball very hard. That doesn't mean that you have to use it in all situations, and that's what Sanju SAMSON did here. I do believe that SAMSON made a mistake. I think that what he should have done here is told Chris Morris that he wasn't intending on giving up the strike under any conditions, because that can cause runouts and miscommunication, all sorts of things. It could have been bad. The actual decision itself, I think, is kind of justified. At that stage, Chris Morris wasn't exactly hitting the ball very well. It didn't look like he was about to hit a boundary. Sanju SAMSON had hit a lot of sixes. I would say on the balance of probability, he was a slightly bigger chance of hitting a 6 at that point than Chris Morris was for hitting a 4. So I have absolutely no problem with that. In fact, if you were looking for a mistake here, I would say the bigger mistake is he didn't tell him about running between the wickets beforehand. And the other big mistake was that there probably was 2. But a 2 really wouldn't have helped them. And in fact, a 2, if they had gone for that 2 and SAMSON had been run out, that would have been the absolute worst case scenario. This was a much better situation. And if you're looking for another mistake that Sanju SAMSON made here, he made 2 more mistakes. One was he didn't hit a 6 on the second last ball that they ended up not getting any runs off, and that he didn't hit a 6 off the last ball. Realistically, he made the best of a very bad situation. I don't think you can have a go at anyone who scored at 2 runs a ball and made 100. He played a phenomenal innings. He did really well. He dragged his team all the way. He just didn't get him over the line. That's, how T20 works. Deepak Hooda averages 18 in the Indian T20 League, which is, that's low. But that's never been my problem with him. I was commentating a game, I reckon, around in about 2015, and Hooda was slapping the ball everywhere. And I was thinking, this is good. This is a guy who's going to slap the ball everywhere. That's going to be his thing. That has not been his thing. In fact, he's had a lot of really low strike rate years. And I think partly it's because there seems to be a pressure still in T20 cricket, as much as we know about it, to have high averages. If he bats at number 5, 6, I don't care if he averages 18, if he's striking at a strike rate of 150 or 160. That's kind of what I want. I want that kind of impact player. Finding guys who can average around 20 while striking at that rate, they don't come every now and again. This was the kind of innings that I think Deepak Hooda should be going for all the time. Played a very good one at the end of last year. I don't think he'll ever be a batter who will average 30 in an IPL season. I don't think he ever has to be that guy. He could average 20 while striking at 150. You don't get many local batters who can do that. That is very handy. This was a bad game for Riley Meredith. And if you're thinking, well, this was also a bad game for Jarrod Richardson, let me just explain a little bit about why I picked out Riley Meredith here. I think it's a mistake to come in with 2 new IPL overseas bowlers. I think it's huge pressure on both of them. I also think it's a very bang or bust thing. And I know this is Mumbai, and they may have wanted to bring them in because this is the wicket that would suit them a little bit better. I just think that neither of them have experience in these conditions. They're not exactly sure what they're doing. Don't think this was the best possible option, considering everything here. My problem with Riley Meredith, and you can go back to my video from the draft day, essentially, I don't think he bowls the ideal lengths for this competition, okay? In a way that I think Jai Richardson does. Now, Jai Richardson's gone for more runs today, but I still feel a little bit more confident in him going forward. If you have a look, Riley Meredith bowled with a cross seam. With a cross seam, okay, every ball. That means that Riley Meredith is trying to hit the pitch. That's an Australian thing to do. I'm not sure that is something that you should be doing in Asia. So I do worry a little bit about him. But I think the bigger concern for this particular game is, should they have both come in? This is a high-scoring ground, and a lot of good bowlers went for a lot of runs. I don't think we should throw babies or bathwater out just yet. But I do worry a little bit more about Riley Meredith going forward. Why did I pick the ball up again? It says ESPN Cricket Info. It should really say My 11 Circle. We've talked a little bit about Sanju SAMSON and the last ball and the fact that he didn't get it. He looked so disappointed that he didn't hit the ball over deep cover for 6, which shows how much the game has changed. I mean, that field that they had for him at the end was absolutely crazy. They had 2 guys out on the leg side. They had 3 guys out on the offside, but mid-off up in the circle. It was just a short boundary masterclass there. Anyway, I thought Sanju SAMSON was brilliant. I know he got dropped, and I know there was luck involved in that innings, but that wasn't where you say that was a lucky 100. He was, he played good cricket. Really good signs for him going forward. Year after year, he's just been scoring that little bit quicker. If you remember back to the start of his career, he used to score really slow. He has completely changed. I still think that he has a game that it's very hard to stop him making runs once he gets going, and he can make them very quickly. It looks like he just wants to go out there and slap the ball, and I'm all for that. Rian Parag is basically a fetus, but a very, very interesting fetus. He had a bit of a flat year last year. It was hard to really get a good, he got opportunities, but he didn't really make the most of them. I mean, he looked very smart and very interesting today. Let's look at his bowling. He bowled leg spin to KL Rahul. He bowled underarm to Chris Gale. He then bowled off spin to Chris Gale. That's a lot of different options. That's a gutsy thing for a young cricketer to go in and try. And then with his batting, that shot off Mohammad Shami, I mean, come on now. What a ridiculous strike of the cricket ball that was. There's a lot to him. It'd be really interesting to see over the next, month and a half how he develops. But there is a lot to like from him. He thinks about cricket. He's obviously incredibly confident, and he can hit the ball really well. Going forward, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on him. Let us just look briefly at the death bowling in this game. Both of these teams came into this tournament with a cloud over their death bowling. And to be fair to Rajasthan, they've done kind of everything they can. They paid an absolute fortune for the best death bowler who's available on the market. They picked up the Fizz, Mustafizur Rahman, who's back. And to be fair, his figures don't show this at all. I actually thought he bowled really well. And I hope that they don't discount him after that one game, because I think there was a lot to like about his bowling today. Sometimes you can just go for runs. And if you're ever going to go for runs, it was this game, because kind of everyone went for runs. But they've done everything they can to sort of bolster their death bowling, including finding a guy at the Bangalore Nets, Chetan Sakaria. What an incredible young talent he looks like already. Left arm, skiddy. I think we'll swing it more on other days. There wasn't a lot of swing on offer today, was there? So I think he will swing it more in future games. I really like these slower balls at the end. I mean, you've got Chris Morris and the Fizz bowling at the death, and the best bowler is a bloke who was bowling in the nets for Bangalore last year. There's a lot to like about that. But even for Punjab, they had Mohammad Shami and the 2 Aussies. That's what they were kind of expecting from the death bowlers, and they ended up with Ashdeep Singh bowling at the end, who, to be fair, did not quite he was not quite as solid as young Chetan looked like. But again, sort of a remarkable thing that they're looking for their death bowlers. They've got this sort of slow medium left arm pace bowler, and he has managed to win the game. And to be honest, I really thought that Rajasthan were going to steal that game away. So good death bowling from him. So it was a sort of a death bowl-y game from that point of view. I mean, I suppose in some ways, both teams are batting like it was the death almost all the way through as well. But yeah, 2 interesting young performances from Indian bowlers there that I think is worth looking at going ahead. And just for you fantasy players, if you're looking for a little bit to mull over from this particular game, Josh Buttler is not going to open. There are some players, Josh Buttler, AB de Villiers, where you just spend like half your life talking about where they are going to bat in T20 cricket, and it gives you a bit of a headache. But from a fantasy perspective, if he's going to bat at 4, albeit they did lose 2 wickets and he was still basically opening today. But if he is going to bat at 4, I think that is something that you have to, put in your mind's eye, your head's eye, keep in your brain about Josh Buttler going ahead. It's worth remembering that Mohammad Shami limped off the game. He's limped the right. He just didn't look fit all the way through the game to me. He didn't look 100%, and he battled through and bowled really well. In fact, he had some of the better figures in this game. So here's a chance when they play in a couple of days' time of potentially missing that game. It's worth keeping an eye on that one. KL Rahul scored far quicker than he did last year already. He said last year his strike rate wasn't a problem. Clearly, he looked at this completely differently for this particular game. If you want to know more about KL Rahul and form, check my YouTubes. I've already got you there. And some of the young guys there, you know, Rian, Chetan, Arshdeep, all three of them have done interesting things in this game. They might be worth just persisting with from a fantasy point of view to have a look at further on. Arshdeep took 3 wickets. You know, I think Chetan can take more wickets. And Parag, with his sort of all-round talent there, he's one I think that might just be worth maybe occasionally popping into your side. But there you have it. Head over to my 11 circle, play your fantasy cricket, take the knowledge that I have given you and make it better, and have fun with the game. All the links are below here. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow.